wanted to hop on and talk about living intentionally. It's something I think a lot about, and I haven't always. As a matter of fact, um, I mostly started out as a young adult following directions, following the rules set out by, all the places we learn the rules from our parents, media, what everybody else is doing. As a matter of fact, I think the summer that I got married the first time, probably six other of my friends got married that same summer. And it was the summer after we graduated from college. And yeah, in the space of 3 months, I, in this order, got my first job, graduated from college, and got married, and was giving myself a pat on the back for checking all the boxes. And, that is one way to approach life. And I have no judgment about it. I just noticed that fairly quickly I looked around and was like, uh-oh, now what? Because there comes this point naturally as you move into your 20s where it's not as clear what the check boxes are. Now, of course, I could have gone to graduate school. I could have started having kids. I could have bought my first house, some of which I did eventually do, but it becomes less clear about the timing. And that really got me thinking about, well, what else do I do, and how do I do this? And very unfortunately for me, I had another series of events 2.5 years later, 2.5, 3 years later, where I left my then husband because I realized we would make each other miserable ultimately, and it was one of the hardest things I ever did until, by the way, 2 months later was diagnosed with cancer. And in that time as well, the company I worked for was selling, going through a major. It was an acquisition, I guess. But I was part of the leadership team that supported it, um, and it was in many ways my home. It was really a sad, hard thing. So it was sort of that moment. If I didn't get the wake up call the first time after those first three events where I looked around and said, huh, in that moment, I really had a huh. Um, and so I started to think about, well, what do you do when you're not checking the boxes? What do you do when you're not, how do you, like, what are we, it was really actually even a larger existential question, like, why are we here? What are we doing? And I can remember really clearly as I was on the ending months of my chemotherapy, I was pretty fragile and um, pretty uh, ill still, but I could sit outside in a lawn chair, and it was May in Ohio. And I remember sitting in that sunshine and think in the lawn chair out in the back of yard and thinking, how come we're here? What are we supposed to be doing? And I'm not going to be able to answer that question for you. I'm not even sure I fully answered it for myself. Had a lot of conversations with God in that period of my life. Um, and what I came to from accessing my own intuition, my own study, and then a lot of messages, and listening to the world around me, I really came to that we have to create. We have to listen to what we want and create our life. And I then got really clear that I needed to do that, and I needed to do it bravely. Like, sometime it took going against what was going to get me those check boxes. Like, it was very profoundly confronting because there were things that I should do, i.e., keep that job with the new company that we had. In that time we actually sold twice, and in the new business, in the new company there was an opportunity for me, that was the much more secure route. uh, but I knew in my heart that I couldn't do that. I couldn't. And so even though I was still largely, I didn't even still it. I wish I should show you a picture. I had no hair. I was still pretty emaciated from all the impacts of the chemotherapy and radiation. I left my job, and it was very counter to what um, a lot of people thought I should do. And I went off and started to create my life through creating a business, and just had something that I was going to do. I had some consulting work that was going to work out for about 3 months, and then it worked out for about 3 years, And then I decided I better go see how real consultants do it. So I applied to some big consulting companies and got a job at one. Anyway, I really want to encourage you to take a moment and take stock and look at where you're living your life right now from where you it's kind of what people should do. I call it they thinking. Well, they say we should have this and this much put away for retirement. They say we should set up this kind of um, this kind. They say we should have this kind of house decor. I don't know. I realized I got a little flummox just there because I was trying to make it about money, and that was kind of last week's topic. But there are so many conversations about what they say about money, but it's everywhere. They say we should have date night. They say your kids should be at this level by this time. Like it's a lot of places, and it's compelling. And I would just invite you to resist the shoulds and take some time and take stock of your life in all the areas and look at, are you living in a way that's created, that's intentional, that's reflective of what you want versus what you should want? If you're not sure, we're going to talk about this more on Thursday. So tune in, drop in the comments below Creative Life if you would like to be tagged so that we can walk through how to live this creative life, how to begin that process of having a creative life without cancer and divorce and other major milestones. All right, have a fantastic day.